6 episodes in, there's been one question sitting underneath every single episode, even when I didn't say it out loud. Does this faith that you receive you as you are, or does it correct you? A lot of people assume that you have to pick one, that the church that welcomes you in is soft, and the church that's serious about truth is cold, and that somewhere out there is a warm, easy faith and a hard, true one, and you really have to choose your camp. I want to show you why that is a false choice, and I want to show you the one man in the Gospels who proved it in a single afternoon. And when this series ends, there's something I want to tell you about what's next here in Fillmore. There's a verse this whole series has been building towards, and I've never actually shown it to you. Let's look at John 1:14. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Full of grace and truth. Not grace then truth, not truth then grace. Both at the same time, in one person. The moment he showed up, everything you're about to watch happen to one man at one table is in that verse, and it's playing out in real time. He's a tax collector. His name is Zacchaeus, in a town called Jericho, and everyone there has a really good reason to hate him. Luke 19:1-10. Then Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man named Zacchaeus, a chief tax collector, who was very wealthy. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but he could not see over the crowd because he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, since Jesus was about to pass that way. When Jesus came to that place, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry down, for I must stay in your home." So Zacchaeus hurried down and welcomed him joyfully. And all who saw this began to grumble, saying, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinful man." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, half of my possessions I give to the poor. And if I have cheated anyone, I will repay it fourfold." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." Zacchaeus is short, so he climbs a tree just to see Jesus over the crowd. Not to be seen, but just to look. And Jesus stops, looks up, and invites himself to the man's house. Before Zacchaeus says a word, before any promise to change, before a shred of proof, he deserves it. The crowd, they even grumble about it. He's gone to be the guest of a sinner. They're not wrong about what Zacchaeus is. They are wrong about what that means Jesus should do about it. Grace goes first, every time. But grace isn't the end of the story here. Something happens to Zacchaeus at the table that changes what he does with his hands. He stands up in front of everyone and gives half of everything he owns to the poor, and he pays back everybody he's cheated 4 times over, which was more than the law even required. Nobody made him do it. Jesus never once demanded it as a price of admission. Truth was already working in him quietly, because grace had actually gone inside of him first and went all the way down. That's the whole tension of this episode. One house, over one dinner, grace that receives you exactly as you are, but truth that doesn't leave you there. You'll find the same pattern almost everywhere Jesus goes in the Gospels. Once you start looking for it, he never once makes somebody clean up first to earn a conversation with him, and he never once leaves them exactly as he found them either. Both things, every time. Not sequential steps where you finish one before you're starting the other. They're happening together in the same encounter, because that is what it actually looks like when God himself sits down across from you. So here's the question I want to ask now. What actually holds these two together? Because a church can lean either direction on its own, even without meaning to. So can a person. It's not enough to just decide to be balanced. Grace and truth don't hold themselves in tension by willpower or good intentions. Something has to actively keep them in the same room at the same time in a way that's harder then picking a side and calling it faithfulness. In the New Testament, that something has a name. Let's look at 1 Thessalonians 5:19. Do not extinguish the Spirit. Do not treat prophecy with contempt, but test all things. Hold fast to what is good. Abstain from every form of evil. Don't quench the Spirit. Don't treat what He's doing with contempt, but test everything and hold on to what is good. 2 warnings back to back, aimed really in the opposite directions, all in one breath. That's not an accident. That's the whole danger of this episode, named twice by Paul in 3 verses. The first danger, spirit without test. I've seen faith that only listens to the Spirit and stops testing anything against Scripture. It almost always starts sincere. Someone feels led, moved, absolutely sure, and quietly stops asking whether any of it actually lines up with what God has already said in His Word. Given enough time, that kind of faith can drift almost anywhere. And here's the part that should concern us. It rarely notices it's drifted, because everything along the way still feels quite spiritual. The feeling becomes its own proof, and nothing is left to check it against. The second danger, test without spirit. And I've seen the exact opposite, just as often, maybe even more. Faith that's airtight on paper and cold in the room. Every doctrine correct, every argument won, footnotes for everything, and nothing left that actually moves anyone, including the person holding it. Grace explained perfectly and never once felt by the person explaining it. That quenches the Spirit too, not by rejecting Him outright or arguing Him away, but by never leaving Him any room to do anything unexpected, anything that can't be footnoted in advance. Both of these are real dangers, and I want to be honest. I have felt the pull of each one in different seasons of my own life. The spirit-only drift feels like freedom, right up till you realize you've lost the ability to tell the difference between conviction and impulse. The dry, correct version feels like safety, right up until you realize you can win every argument in a room and still have nothing left to offer a person sitting across from you who's actually hurting. Neither one is really about the Spirit Himself. They're both about what happens the moment we stop holding grace and truth together and quietly let one side win without even noticing that we made the trade. So, what's actually been underneath every episode in the series, even in the episodes where I didn't even say its name? Conversion? It was never just a moment you could point to on a calendar and call it finish. The Spirit is what turns I've started following into someone you actually become, however long that road may take to walk. Scripture wasn't just about 2 grieving disciples who happened to be carrying on with them on the road to Emmaus. The Spirit who has finally opened their eyes to see what all of it had been saying about Jesus the whole time. The cross, it wasn't just a doctrine Peter got right in one breath and flinched from in the next. The Spirit is what turns "you are Christ" from a correct answer on a test to a life somebody actually is willing to build around, cross included, cost included. And mission was never just a program or a walk around the block on a good day. The Spirit is what actually sends anyone, anywhere, whether it's into the nation's parliament for 18 years or just next door. Conversion, Scripture, the cross, mission. Each one of those was the Spirit's work the whole time, holding grace and truth together in each one, long before we ever got around to saying its name out loud. Maybe you're watching this and you're not sure you believe any of it. That's not disqualifying work either. Zacchaeus, he didn't climb the tree to make a decision. He climbed just to take a look. not even sure what he was looking for. Grace found him before he worked out what he believed. If all you've got right now is enough curiosity to climb that tree and look, that's enough to start. Come as you are, that's grace. The same grace that pulls a cheating tax collector out of a tree before he's done a single thing on earth to deserve it. But grow where you're planted. That's truth. The same truth that had Zacchaeus paying back everyone he'd wronged 4 times over before the night was even finished. You don't get to have one without the other, not because we're being strict about it for its own sake, because that's what actually happens at the one table in Jericho. And that's what the Spirit is still doing quietly, wherever people actually let him in. So come as you are. Grow where you're planted. That's the whole thing. And I hope it's become clear across these 7 episodes that I don't think that you get to pick one or the other. But here's what's been circling the whole time, and I want to be clear to you about it. For a long time, I was the guy rushing to hand you the tidy answer, close the loop, resolve the tension, move on. I don't believe that anymore. I spent the last while asking myself the question I couldn't shake. What would a church actually look like if it sat with people in that tension instead of rushing past them? And I want to tell you what it's led to and what I'm building here in Fillmore and why that matters. And that's not a footnote. It deserves its own conversation. So that's the next episode. But if this series has meant anything to you, if any of it landed, hit the thumbs up. It genuinely helps, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.